In this video, we want to solve the equation sine of x equals root 2 divided by 2 for the domain or the restriction on x, which is that x is greater than or equal to 0, but less than or equal to 360 degrees. So we're solving this equation in degrees. So to start off with, we want to really think about where does sine of x equal root 2 on 2 in the unit circle. So sine is located on the y-axis, and we know there's a handy little pattern that goes root 1 on 2, root 2 on 2, root 3 on 2. So it's this middle value here where sine is equal to root 2 over 2. And now to get sine to be root 2 over 2, we can be in this position on the unit circle, or we could even be in this position on the unit circle. So that will give root 2 over 2 as being the y value, which is the sine value of those points. So the angle that we need to get there from the horizontal axis is the 45 degree angle. So this angle here is 45 degrees. Now, using the symmetry properties of the unit circle, in this quadrant, we could just be 180 degrees, and we could subtract 45 to get to this point. So if we drew an angle in here, we'd be 45 degrees back from the 180 line. So if we're 45 degrees back from 180, that would be 135 degrees from here. So now we can start to think about what are the solutions for x, because x is really just measuring our angle in this question. And we've got knowledge of our angles here in the unit circle. So the first angle we talked about is that x could simply be 45 degrees. So we could have x is equal to 45 as one of the solutions to this problem. And now we need to think about our domain in a little bit more detail. Now, because it's just sine of x, we know the period is 360 degrees for that particular function. And we're allowed to go between 0 and 360 degrees, which means we're allowed to go once around this unit circle. So if we start going around the unit circle at 45 degrees, we'll have a solution. And the other point, which is the one over here, we said we'd have 180 minus 45 is 135. So that's the second solution we get. And now if we continued going around the unit circle, we wouldn't get any more solutions because there's only two spots if we go around once that gives sine of x being root 2 on 2. So these are the two solutions to the equation we were given to solve. So before we wrap up there, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a graphical approach and just seeing how we can relate the solutions to this equation to a graph. And then at the very end, I will quickly put this in a calculator so that you can see how that's done. And hopefully we'll get the same values out. So first off, we'll start by looking at the graph. So the first thing that I've sketched here is just y equals sine of x. So this graph is y equals sine of x. And now the extra line that I'm going to put on here is y equals root 2 on 2. So if you think about the pattern root 1 on 2, root 2 on 2, root 3 on 2, that pattern also exists over here. So root 1 on 2, root 2 on 2 is the one we want. So this is y equals root 2 over 2. And then of course there'd be root 3 on 2, which is up a little bit higher than that. And we can see that there's two times that y equals sine of x intersects the line y equals root 2 on 2. And those 2 points are here and here. And the x value of that, if we think about what this x value is, that's the 45 that we found. And then the x value of this is going to be the 135. So that's how we can relate the solutions to this equation to a graphical interpretation. The x is 45 and x is 135 are the x values where the graph of sine of x intersects a line y equals root 2 over 2, which is what the equation was to start with. So now what we're going to do just before we wrap up this video is we're going to solve this equation using the CAS calculator. So I'm going to start by going into the main menu And then I'm going to bring up the keyboard, which will allow me to type in the equation, which is sine of x is equal to, and then as a fraction, it's going to be the square root of 2 divided by 2. And then we're going to want to put in this restriction that x is between 0 and 360. So under math 3, I can use the straight up and down line, which is the given that symbol. So we're going to solve this equation given that 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 360. And now we're going to select all of that, and then we're going to go interactive, equation inequality, solve for x. And that will give us the two solutions just like we found by hand earlier. So I hope this video has helped you understand how to solve trigonometric equations or equations involving circular functions. Good luck with any questions that you're going to go and practice on, and make sure you check out extra video examples that will be around going through more problems just like this one.